everyone. Myself, Nidhi Pandya. I am here to represent the topic of the conflict between patient and reason in neoclassical literature, balancing the emotional truth with rational restraint. Here are my academic details and the presentation details. These are the level of content. These are the research question and the hypothesis. How did my research question about this presentation is how did the neoclassical writers negotiate the tension between the classical models of the patient, like the external immediate forces, and the emerging modern conception of emotion, like the internal and cognitive processes. And what does this reveal about the period's understanding of human subjectivity? And its hypothesis is that neoclassical literature represents a transition moment in the history of emotion where the writers employed classical frameworks while unconsciously revealing the instability of the patient's passivity, thereby exposing the anxieties about the national government and the demonstrating that emotional experience resists the need categorization where here is demanded. So the introduction. Neoclassical officially chanted the reason, order and faith and everything. And the period has witnessed the profound uncertainty of the patient and the function. Neoclassical literature inherited the contradictory models of the emotional experience, while the publicly celebrated rational self-mastery. Writers grappled with the patient and descriptive tone, and the tension reflects the border influence and within the anxieties about the maintaining the social order within the amid political upheavals. Understanding this paradox helps us recognize that the age of reason was simultaneously on age of passion and uncertainty also. Now, making it surprisingly relevant to contemporary discussion about the emotion and rationality. Thinkers began to see that and the question arises for the where the patient's voluntary application or the managerial relationships classical patients and the legacy as the legacy of the passivity. The classical tradition from Aristotle through the Aquinas defined the patient as a way of being acted upon. Now the classical patients operated like divine intervention, immediate and irresistible, and externally stored. This framework offered moral and confusion. One couldn't be fully responsible for their action and driven by the forces beyond the control. But empiricism gained influence, and this comfortable passivity has excused the passionate action, an unreasonable moment in the soul, an impulse in the excess. The neoclassical writer like the Dryden inherited this framework and told that hurry away without giving us liberty. The neoclassical literature and the reveal combining the desires for both certainty and autonomy. Now, the modern transition, like the Locke's uneasiness. Locke's innovation was recognizing that we experience emotional and rational thoughts within the intensify before understanding it. These uneasiness must be processed, interpreted, and contextualized. Today, neuroscience validates that these models solving emotional and emerge from the brain network linking feeling centers to the reasoning and centers. Now, for the neoclassical writers, it was a creative narrative opportunity to explore the scope and the space between the sensation and the comprehension, fertile ground for the examining the what makes us human being, which is also the sensation value in itself. Now, the spectators divided interpretation. How the two writers wrote one book, but had the different kind of views about this emotion and the reason. Even within a publication of neoclassical thinkers staggered on emotion epistemology. Addition sought secure meaningful he sought secure meaningful beneath the disorder and still embraced irreducible the ambiguity. This wasn't merely a personality difference but a philosophical disagreement and which lead to the how the feelings and the reason works. Now this debate prefigures the modern tension between the cognitive and non-cognitive theories of emotion. Now the demonstrating the period's sophistication in grappling with the subjective experience. Now both agree patient required management but disagree on whether its meaning are still into use or not. Now Eliza Haywood's amatory aesthetic. her work as the loving and self-reliant results, which says that Heywood's novel chart patience modernization across three decades. Early works embrace the romance convention and when love strikes suddenly and governs the completely. Later works question such a immediately showing protagonists who must interpret ambiguous feeling through the experience. This evolution wasn't just a mere evolution, but a philosophical development, demonstrating how the narrative will work and form the adapted to the represent of the increasing complex and the model of subjectivity, and its emotional lack in the face of empirically epistemology. Now, Samuel Richardson's epistolary realism into emotions and everything. Now, Richardson has pioneered that right to the moment, expose the gap between the experience and expression, that what will be the emotion will be faced by the reason. Okay, and now Pope's more ethic that Pope's mastery involves making wise appear graceful through the technique and perfection. Today we appreciate Pope's artistry while recognizing its service to maintaining appearance over the conflicting anxiety. That he reveals the satirical moment, but within into deep that emotion was also there, which he experienced himself. Emotional truth versus the rational category. The inexpressibility drop wasn't just a pretext, but epistemological admission. Neoclassical writers recognize feeling possesses qualities that resist linguistic capture. That means words cannot express, and that is what the comparison between of this. Now, the social and political stakes of the emotional control. Patience management carries the urgent political stakes. Post Civil War, England's fear disorder, making emotional self-governance crucial to the social ability and the stability. Yet, this created tension, celebrating rational autonomy and while doubting the individual's capability for the self-control and the authority, liberty, and the foundation of the civil society. Now, lessons for the today. The neoclassical writers anticipated the contemporary insight about the emotional structure. Their structure reconciled with the feelings and knowing and passivity and the agency and individual and social dimensions within the remain relevant. Today's theory and emotion studies benefit from the revisiting the period sophisticated grappling with the subjectivity rather than defining the era as this overly rational. We should appreciate its nuances, nuanced exploration of questions we still haven't fully answered. Now, the conclusion, the balancing act. The neoclassicism never resolved the passion and reason conflict because they say just trust the process, just trust the process, but do not answer fully. Emotional lack resists each characteristic because the emotional expression or experience cannot be seen by the word. Have you ever heard that word that the not any poet or not any era can measure the emotions and the heaviness of the heart. Now, these are my learning outcomes from this presentation, and these are my reference. And these are the key points throughout my presentation. Now, if anyone have question, please ask me.
So my question is, what does the inexplicability trauma reveal about neoclassical emotion theory?
Now, the phrases like the words cannot express or inexpressibility drop. It shows that emotions are that dominant that you cannot express it into words. When we say that we cannot express what we feel, that is what the phrase words cannot express mean. This is the answer. Our emotions are real, but we cannot express it within our linguistic.
My question is that what enduring lesson about emotion does neoclassical literature offer modern readers?
Neoclassical works remind us that the emotion is both cognitive and irrational. Now, a complex balance between the feelings and the thoughts, rather than solving this conflict, we should just leave it like that and productively within the emotion ambiguity. That would be my answer. Thank you, everyone.